A very good morning to all my dear students. This is Silpit Kaur, your social science teacher. I hope you all are good at home. Today we will study what happened after the Battle of Plassey. In the previous class we have studied how Mir Jafar by not participating in the battle led to the defeat of Siraj-ud-Dawla. Now, Battle of Plassey, if we talk about it, it was the most decisive war that marked the initiation of a British rule in India for the next 2 centuries. Also, it is called the Battle of Plassey. It took place between British East India Company and the Nawab of Bengal and his French allies. It occurred on 23rd June 1757 at Palashi of Murshidabad district on the bank of the Bhagirathi River. Murshidabad. The army commander Mir Jafar of Siraj-ud-Dawla sides betrayed in the Battle of Plassey, and thereby the whole force of Nawab collapsed, and as a consequence the entire province of Bengal came under British. The Battle of Plassey, also named as the Battle of Plassey, and the Battle of Plassey became famous because it was the first major victory of the company to won in India. Now, what happened after the Battle of Plassey? After the Battle of Plassey, Siraj-ud-Dawla was defeated, and Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal after his defeat, as it was promised by the Britishers. But he was a nominal head of Bengal, and actual power remained in the hand of British. Thus, he called it as Puppet Nawab. The company was still unwilling to take over the responsibility of administration. Here you can see that the main prime objective of the company was just the expansion of the trade. But soon the company realized that the puppet Nawabs were not always as helpful as the company wanted them to be. After all, they had to maintain a basic appearance of dignity and sovereignty if they wanted respect from their subjects, right? So, when Mir Jafar protested, the company disposed him. Means they have disposed means to remove him from the position of Nawab and installed his son-in-law Mir Qasim in his place. Mir Qasim abolished the trade duty for everyone and transferred his capital from Murshidabad to Munger. But this was against the interest of British, so they declared war. In 1764, the Battle of Buxar was fought between Britishers and Mir Qasim, when Mir Qasim denied the privileges given to Britishers. So in this battle, Mir Qasim, the Nawab of Bengal, Shuja-ud-Dawla, the Nawab of Awadh, and Shah Alam II, that time Mughal king, fought against the Britishers, and British force were led by Hector Munro. In this battle, British became victorious because of mismanagement and a lack of communication between Mir Qasim, Shuja-ud-Dawla and Shah Alam II. So they reinstalled Mir Jafar as Nawab after this. Means what we have learned, Mir Jafar was promised to installed as a Nawab of Bengal, but when he protested, Britishers removed Mir Jafar and installed Mir Qasim in his place. But when Mir Qasim also protested against the Britishers, they fought the Battle of Buxar. Okay, and after his defeat, they reinstalled Mir Jafar as Nawab, because at this time they were not so interested in having any kind of territory or administrative rules and responsibilities. Their main objective was just the expansion of trade anyhow. It means they wanted just money. Now, after the Battle of Plassey in 1764, Robert Clive was appointed as the governor of Bengal because he was the reason why Britishers have won the battle. In this, the Nawab had to pay. Now they have made a new rule according to which the Nawab have to pay 500,000 every month, but the company wanted more money to finance its war. and meet the demand of the trade and at other expenses. Now, what happened when Mir Jafar died in 1765? The mood of company was totally changed. But as it wanted more territories and more revenue, Clive declared that we must indeed become Nawab ourselves, so that it will remove our financial problems. Finally, in 1765, the Mughal Shah Alam II, Emperor Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II appointed the company as the Diwan of the province of Bengal, and this also was happened because he was defeated in the war of Battle of Buxar, and they also got the Diwani right of Bihar and Odisha. The Diwani allowed the company to use vast revenue resources of Bengal, and this solved the major problem that company had earlier faced. Right? Now what happened? The company official become Nawabs. Finally, um, after the Battle of Plassey, the actual Nawab of Bengal were forced to give land and vast sum of money as personal gift to the company officials. Robert Clive himself amazed means होता है to gather a fortune means a large amount of wealth in India. Means Robert Clive was also a person who has gained a lot of money in while doing trade in India. He came to Madras at the age of 18. When he left India, his Indian fortune means Indian wealth was worth 401 1102 pounds. It is interesting to know when he came to India, he came to Madras in 1743 and he started as a assistant shopkeeper. Later he joined company's army as an officer, and after the Battle of Plassey he became the governor of Bengal. And also he helped the company to become the Diwan of Bengal, right? But when he left India, uh, his Indian fortune was 401,102 pounds. Just wait. Now, when he was appointed as the governor of Bengal in 1764, he was asked to remove the corruption. It is very interesting to know because he was asked to remove the corruption, but he himself was a corrupt officer. And when he was cross examined in 1772 by the British Parliament, he was found suspicious of having vast wealth. Finally, he was acquitted and he committed suicide in 1774. However, not all the company officials succeeded in making money like life. Many died an early death in India due to disease or war, and it would not be right to regard all of them as corrupt and dishonest. Means we can't say that uh, all the company officials were corrupt and dishonest. Many of them came from humble background, and their main objective was to earn enough in India and return to Britain and lead a comfortable life, right? Those who managed to return with wealth, they led a fleshy lives there, and they were called as Nabobs. Nabobs is the English version of the Indian word Nawab. They were often seen as upstarts and social climbers in British society. Now we will see how the company rule expands during 1757 to 1857. The process of annexation of Indian states by East India Company from 1757 to 1857 brought some key aspects, like company rarely launched a direct military attack on an unknown territory. Means till now the company was not in the favor of having several wars and won the territory of India. They never launched a direct military attack. What they do, uh, they use a variety of political, economic, and diplomatic methods to extend its influence before annexing any Indian kingdom. Now, after the Battle of Buxar in 1764, the company appointed residents in Indian states. What do you mean by residents? Residents were political or commercial agents, and their job was to serve and further the interest of the company. Means they were like a commercial agent of the Britishers only, and their basic job was to serve and enhance the interest of the company. Now, through this residence, the company officials began interfering in the internal affairs of Indian states. Now, you can see that slowly and gradually they managed to have in, uh, interference in the internal affairs of Indian states. They tried to decide who was to be a successor, who was to be the successor or to the throne, and who was to be appointed in the administrative post. Means in this way they were interfering in the internal matters of the Indian territories. The company forced the states into the subsidiary alliance. Please remember this word, subsidiary alliance was forced by the Britishers on the Indian territories. And the king, under this, the king had to put an army of the British. According to the term of alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their own independent armed force. They were to be protected by the company, but had to pay a subsidiary force. It is not nut, it is but here, right? Please make a correction over here. They were to be protected by the company, but they had to pay the subsidiary forces. Means they have to British company will charge a amount from Indian rulers. The company was they were supposed to maintain the purpose of the protection. Now try to understand it carefully. Subsidiary alliance. In subsidiary alliance, the Indian rulers were not allowed to have their own army. Instead, the Britishers forced them to keep British army, and it was the method. It was saying that the company was saying that they have to have Indian rulers have to have the British companies of army men only. And what the reason they have given, that it was for their protection. Now, in the case of non-payment to the army, the Nawab or the king had to give some part of its territory as penalty. Now, the Nawab of Awadh and the Nizam of Hyderabad were forced to cede territories and accept the subsidiary alliance. There was an example given that the Nawab of Awadh uh, was forced to give half of his territory to the company in 1801 as he failed to pay for the subsidiary forces. And also Hyderabad was forced to cede territories on the similar grounds. Now this is it for today. In the next class we will learn how it more expanded British Empire in the India. Thank you and have a nice day.